Hey folks, welcome back to a journey of quiet strength. The kind of strength that doesn't scream but makes a lasting impact. You know what I'm talking about. The kind of silent, unwavering resolve that speaks volumes without uttering a word. You've given your all, haven't you? You've bent over backward, shelved your priorities, and pushed your own dreams aside, all for the sake of making them see your worth. You've done everything possible to be there for them, hoping they'd finally understand how much they mean to you. You've gone above and beyond, always on call, ready to drop everything at a moment's notice. You've been that person, the one who is always there, never saying no, never asking for anything in return. You've poured out kindness like an endless stream, just hoping that one day they'd see, appreciate, and care. But what did you get in return? They treated you like a convenience, a footnote, an afterthought. They took every ounce of care you offered, every act of kindness, and discarded it without a second glance. They walked all over you, treating your loyalty and devotion as if they were obligations, not treasures. You tried everything to bridge that gap, talking it out, reasoning with them, maybe even begging for a shred of acknowledgement. But each attempt only left you feeling more invisible, as if your value was something they were too blind, too careless, or too comfortable to see. You kept giving and giving, yet it only seemed to make you disappear more. It's like they became numb to your presence, indifferent to your heart. The harder you tried, the less you seemed to matter. And then you realized nothing was going to change. You had one option left, the most powerful card in your hand: silence. So you chose to fade away, to let the noise die down, and to stop filling their world with your presence. No more late-night texts, no more calls, no more little reminders that you were there, waiting, hoping. It's like you vanished, leaving nothing but silence behind. And that silence, it's more deafening, more powerful than anything you could have said. Now, they're grappling with a world without you, one where the constant warmth they took for granted has disappeared. They might try to act normal, putting on that brave, indifferent face in public, pretending nothing has changed. But inside, that silence is tearing them apart. Each unfilled moment, each notification that doesn't pop up with your name, reminds them of what they threw away. Behind closed doors, they're haunted by your absence, by the void you left. They might even feel the urge to reach out, to call, to cry, but their pride holds them back, locking them in silent regret. They replay those moments, reliving the times they took you for granted, seeing every memory in a new light now that it's too late. They may be all smiles in public, but in private it's only darkness and the crushing realization of what they've lost. This silence, it's yours, your power, your way of reclaiming control. So take a moment to affirm this with me. Silence is my superpower. Say it out loud with conviction. Silence isn't a weakness, it's your strength. The loudest message you could ever send. They'll feel it, trust me. As the great philosopher Epictetus once said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This moment isn't about them. It's about you stepping into your own strength. So go on, declare it, own it. Silence is my superpower. Stay with me here, because we're only beginning. Stick around, and I'll show you just how powerful silence can be, how it can turn the tables and force them to confront the emptiness they feel in your absence. We'll go deeper into this journey of silence, how it shifts the entire dynamic, makes them see the void they didn't know you filled, and leaves them wondering what they've let slip through their fingers. Now, before we go too far into their story, let's talk about something that might be weighing on you right now. I know you love them, probably still do in a way, despite all the hurt, despite the way they dismissed you, like you were just a habit they could shake off. That love isn't easy to let go of, and because of it, there's probably a part of you wondering, What if they just move on? What if my silence means nothing to them? You're nodding along, aren't you? The fear of being forgotten, of them just brushing you aside, feels like it's tearing you apart. But here's the thing. Let me assure you, they're not going anywhere, at least not emotionally. You might see them wearing that mask, putting on a show like your silence doesn't faze them, like they're perfectly fine without you. But behind that mask, there's a storm brewing. They're feeling the absence of your presence more than they'll ever admit, even if they pretend not to care. This silence has sunk in deeper than anything words could have conveyed. And let's be real, if they can't see your worth in the silence, if they don't feel that loss, they never truly valued you in the first place. Do you really want someone who needs constant reminders to see your worth? Someone who only notices what they have when they're about to lose it? This silence isn't just a pause, it's a test, a moment of truth for both of you. If they're too blind to see your value even now, then that clarity is worth its weight in gold. Hold on to that truth, it's powerful. And so you continue, you stay grounded, letting them experience this absence. Trust me, they're already feeling it. If they don't, then that's your answer. But if they do, then they'll come to understand just how much you meant. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button because this journey matters. It's not just about silence, it's about claiming your own power, your own worth. Ready to dive deeper? Let's go. Because now comes the part they'll feel most, the realization that you're truly gone. Here we are at the beginning of that realization. This is where they feel the weight of your absence, where it dawns on them that you're not there anymore, that you're out of reach. Maybe they're keeping up appearances, acting like nothing's changed, but deep down, they feel it. The familiar warmth slipping away, unreachable. Now, here's where most of us would make a mistake. We'd feel that pang of sympathy, that doubt creeping in. We'd think, maybe I should check in, just let them know I'm here. And then we'd reach out, cracking the silence, undoing the power of our absence. But let's be clear, that's a slip-up, one we can't afford. Silence is about letting them sit with their own thoughts, their own mistakes, their own emptiness. It's not about keeping them safe in the comfort of your presence. Every time you break the silence, you're handing back the power you worked so hard to claim. This isn't the time to check in, to let them feel your presence again. This is about giving them the space to truly understand what they had, to feel the full weight of it slipping away. And here's another trap some of us fall into. We think our job is to sit around waiting, watching our phones, wondering if they've noticed. But that's not what silence is about. Silence is about redirecting all that energy you poured into them back into yourself. This isn't about putting your life on pause. It's about moving forward, building yourself up, growing stronger. Think of it as a transformation, an opportunity to become the kind of person who doesn't just sit around waiting but actively shapes their own future. If they care, if they love you, this absence will shake them. It'll make them see your worth in ways they never did before. Your silence is like a seed planted in the quiet, a seed that will either grow or wither. If they care, they'll feel the pull, the ache, the need to reach back to you. And if they don't, then let this silence reveal that truth now rather than later. Because the last thing you want is to be with someone who doesn't value you without constant reminders. As Seneca once said, if you want a true friend, break away from those who would not grieve to lose you. This is the power of silence. It reveals who truly values you and who doesn't. They're either grieving your absence or they're moving on, and either way, you win. You're finding out who's worth your time, your energy, your love. Imagine yourself standing tall, facing forward, not looking back. You're creating a life that's built on strength, on growth, not on the attention or validation of someone else. And as you continue, the right people, those who see your worth, will notice. Those who care will find a way to catch up, and if they don't, you'll know that walking away was the best decision you could have made. So here's an affirmation for this part of the journey. I choose myself over their attention. My silence is my strength. Say it out loud, write it down if you need to, and remember, this is just the beginning. Right now, we don't know if they truly value you, if they'll ever realize what they've lost, but that's not our concern. This silence is just the start, the beginning of uncovering the truth. Soon enough, the answers will reveal themselves. Hold on, because each step forward is a step toward clarity, and you're about to witness the true power of silence. And if they seem indifferent, don't be fooled. That's just a mask, an act. But we'll get to that part next. Stick with me because there's much more to come on this journey. All right, let's keep going. So you've chosen silence, and now the ripples are beginning. But here's where things can get tricky, the mask of indifference. This is the stage that throws so many of us off track because it's when they act like they're perfectly fine, like nothing has changed, as if your absence is just another ordinary day. You might see them posting on social media, smiling with friends, maybe even talking as if they're doing better than ever. They'll seem calm, unbothered, as if your silence is nothing but background noise. But that mask of indifference, it's not the truth. It's a cover, a shield they're holding up to make you think they don't care. You see, when people feel a shift in control, when they realize they're no longer the center of your world, they put up defenses. They're bluffing, trying to make it seem like your absence is meaningless to them. Think of it like a poker game. They're holding their cards close, refusing to reveal any weakness, hoping you'll be the one to reach out first. They want to make you think they're unaffected, but that act of indifference is just that, an act, a mask hiding the truth of what they're really feeling. This is often when people fall into the trap. Seeing them appear so unaffected makes us question everything. We start thinking, maybe I should check in, maybe I was wrong, maybe they're actually fine without me. But here's the truth, their indifference is part of the game. It's the first line of defense people use when they feel their control slipping. They're pretending they don't need you, trying to convince themselves as much as they're trying to convince you. As the wise Epictetus once said, circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him. Your absence, your silence, is revealing something in them that they don't want to face. So instead of dealing with it, they wear this mask of indifference, hoping you'll crack, that you'll reach out and give them back that sense of security and control. Imagine it, a shield they're holding up to block their own feelings. Behind it they're hoping, praying, you'll be the one to break first. This is when you have to hold your ground, because the moment you break, the second you reach out to see if they're really fine, you give them exactly what they wanted. It's like handing them the reins again, surrendering the power of your silence. Right now, that silence is working on them, even if they refuse to show it. But it only works if you let it do its job. Once you give in, you're back to square one, and they know they've got you. Their indifference is just a flimsy wall, one they're hiding behind, hoping you won't see the cracks forming behind that mask. Your absence is starting to press down on them little by little. They might not even realize it yet, but they're beginning to feel it. That emptiness you left, it's settling in, slowly but surely, and they're starting to realize that filling that void isn't as simple as pretending they don't care. They're in a silent panic, hoping you won't notice their vulnerability, their growing discomfort. It's a quiet struggle, but one that's building pressure with each day you stay silent. And here's where the real test begins for you. It's tempting to think silence is just waiting around, but that's only half of it. The power of silence is at its peak when you're not just waiting, but actively building yourself, growing, shaping your life instead of staring at your phone, wondering when they'll finally realize what they've lost. Focus on yourself. Each day you put energy into your own growth, into your own life, is a day you get stronger. And that's something they'll feel. If they love you, this silence will draw out those feelings. The strength you're showing by staying silent, by growing instead of waiting, will become impossible for them to ignore. They'll feel it, even if they don't understand it right away. The mask of indifference will start to feel heavy, uncomfortable, like an outfit that no longer fits, and they'll find it harder and harder to pretend. They'll start to feel a pull, a desire to reach out to you, to reconnect, because your silence has become a force they can't overlook. But what if they don't care? What if the mask is all they have, and there's nothing underneath? Well, then this silence is revealing that truth. If they're truly indifferent, if they can continue without you unfazed, then let it become clear now. That clarity is worth more than any false comfort. The last thing you need is to pour your energy, your love, into someone who can't value you unless you're right in front of them. As Marcus Aurelius said, it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them. If they're unmoved by your absence, then let that judgment stand. Let it guide you forward, away from someone who doesn't see your worth. So here's your reminder. Stay focused on yourself. Let their mask of indifference be just that. A mask. Don't let it shake you. Don't let it pull you back. This is your time to build, to grow, to shape a life that doesn't hinge on someone else's attention. If they miss you, they'll come back in their own time, on their own terms. And if they don't, then they've freed up space in your life for someone who will truly value you. Affirm this to yourself. I am unshaken by their indifference. I am building my own strength and worth. Say it out loud. Write it down. Make it yours. Every time doubt creeps in, remind yourself of it. You're becoming stronger, more resilient every day. And let's stay connected on this journey, because the layers only get deeper from here. This mask of indifference won't hold up forever, and soon enough, the truth will start seeping through in ways they can't ignore. There's a lot more to uncover, and we're just getting started. Now we enter a heavier stage, the weight of regret. At first they tried to brush it off, hide their feelings, but now your silence is hitting them, really hitting them, like a wave they can't escape. They start to see the emptiness, the void you left behind, and regret sneaks in like a shadow they can't shake. It's no longer about pretending they don't care. It's about realizing that maybe, just maybe, they've made a mistake they can't undo. Imagine them replaying every memory, every opportunity they had to appreciate you, every moment they brushed you aside. It's like standing on a cliff, looking back at everything they took for granted. They're haunted by those choices now, and they realize with a sinking feeling that each careless action, each time they disrespected you, is costing them more than they anticipated. As the philosopher Seneca put it, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Right now, they're feeling the end of what they had with you, and it's sinking in. They won't say it out loud, and they'll never admit it to anyone, but they're feeling the sting of losing something real. Regret doesn't announce itself. It seeps in quietly, slowly, like a shadow following them everywhere they go. And the longer you stay silent, the stronger it grows. This isn't about missing you. It's about recognizing that they had something valuable, something irreplaceable, and they let it slip through their fingers. Now most people, when they reach this stage, try to push the regret away. They'll keep up their front, keep acting indifferent, but inside, they're feeling the weight of their actions. They're thinking about every chance they had to treat you better, to keep you close, to value you, and each memory stings. They're wrestling with their pride, their guilt, the realization that they've lost control, and that loss is more painful than they imagined. This is where you might feel sympathy. You might feel the urge to reach out, to let them know you understand, to ease their pain. But remember, this is their journey, not yours. They need to feel this regret, this emptiness, to fully understand what they've lost. Stepping in now, even with good intentions, would only take away the weight of what they're experiencing. Regret has its place, and sometimes people need to sit with it to feel its full weight, to understand the value of what they've lost. So take a deep breath and hold on to this affirmation. I am worth more than their regret. I choose myself over anyone's temporary feelings. Say it out loud. Let it sink in. You're not here to rescue them from the consequences of their actions. Their regret is theirs to carry, and your strength is yours to build. Stay with me on this path because we're still only halfway there. Regret is powerful, but it's only the beginning of what they'll feel. Their journey doesn't stop here, and as the regret deepens, they're forced to confront even more truths they can no longer avoid. Hold tight, because there's still so much more to come, and the journey is far from over. And if you're still here, if you've felt these words resonate with your own experience, take a moment to let me know where you're at on this journey. Have you taken that leap into silence, or are you still holding on, wrestling with doubts? Drop a "keep it up" in the comments if you're staying strong, because this journey is just as much about building yourself as it is about them realizing what they've lost. Stay tuned, because we're not done yet. The next phase is about facing the masks, the substitutes, and what happens when they try to fill the void you left behind. There's more to uncover, so let's keep going. All right, let's keep moving deeper into this journey. So now they're feeling that weight of regret, but instead of facing it, instead of really sitting with that discomfort, they might try a shortcut. And what do? They start looking for someone new. They're hoping to fill the gap you left, to replace that presence with a quick fix. This stage can be hard for you to witness, especially if they're flaunting it, making it seem like they've moved on effortlessly, as if you were just another chapter they can flip through. But don't let it fool you. This isn't about moving on. It's about escaping. Imagine it like putting a bandage over a wound that runs deep. They're not healing, they're covering it up, hoping a new connection will numb the ache. They're looking for a distraction, for something, anything, that makes them forget. But that's all it is, a distraction. The presence of someone else can't replace the presence they lost with you, and deep down, they know it. They're using this person as a mask to avoid facing their own feelings, hoping that if they stay busy, if they keep moving, the emptiness you left won't catch up with them. This attempt to replace you is more of a coping mechanism than a real connection. They're trying to convince themselves, and maybe even you, that they're fine, that they're happy, that they've moved on. But real connection isn't something you can swap out like an accessory. It's not about finding someone new just to fill a void. When we lose something meaningful, our first instinct is often to find a substitute, something that fills the space without requiring us to change or grow. But it's like trying to fit a puzzle piece that doesn't belong. It might look all right from a distance, but up close, they can feel the emptiness it's covering up. They might go out more, post on social media, and show off their new connections as if they're living their best life. But remember, this isn't about you. It's about their inability to sit with their own discomfort. They're hiding behind this show, hoping to convince themselves that they've moved past you. But it's just that, a show. And the deeper truth? You can't replace something real with something temporary. They're putting up a front, hoping to shield themselves from the sting of regret. But inside, they're struggling with the emptiness that new faces and temporary distractions can't cure. Seeing this, you might start questioning your own worth. You might wonder if you meant anything at all, if it's that easy for them to replace you. But remember, this isn't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their fear. They're afraid of facing the void you left behind. They're afraid of the silence, so instead of confronting it, they run to someone new, hoping that person can fill a space that only you once occupied. If you need an affirmation, keep this one close. I am irreplaceable. My value cannot be duplicated or substituted. Say it with conviction every time doubt tries to creep in. This journey is about uncovering the truth, and right now, their actions are revealing that they're not ready to face it. Some people would rather cover their pain with a temporary fix than confront the real loss. They'll hide behind someone new, hoping the emptiness will fade, but it never truly does. And if they don't come to this realization on their own, then you'll know deep down they were never capable of valuing you fully in the first place. So hold on to that affirmation. Remind yourself that their actions don't define your worth. If they're running to someone new, let that be their journey, their coping mechanism, their distraction. Because the truth of a real connection, it can't be swapped out. Every time they try, every time they look to someone else to fill the gap, they're reminded of what they lost. It's like trying to cover a wound without letting it heal. And no matter how much they try to ignore it, the ache of that emptiness will follow them. As the philosopher Alain de Botton once put it, people only get truly interesting when they start to rattle the bars of their cages. But instead of breaking free from the cage of their own denial, they're staying inside it, hoping that a new face will distract them from the truth they're avoiding. The discomfort they're experiencing is their journey to take, not yours. Now we're moving to a new phase, the unraveling. This is when things start to break down for them and reality begins to set in. At first, they thought they could keep going as if nothing changed, but without the stability you provided, without the constant reassurance of your presence, their world starts to crack. You see, you weren't just someone who showed up. You were their anchor, their constant, the foundation they unknowingly leaned on. And now that foundation is gone, and the cracks are beginning to show. It's as if they're trying to hold water in their hands, but no matter how tightly they squeeze, it slips away. At this point, they may feel like they're holding things together, but beneath the surface, it's all coming undone. The distractions they use to fill the void are starting to feel empty, meaningless. They're realizing that the world they created without you isn't as solid as they once thought. In the quiet moments, they start feeling that emptiness even more. Their friendships might start feeling hollow. Their daily routines lose their meaning. There's a sense of restlessness, a lack of focus because they no longer have that sense of stability you brought into their life. You grounded them, even if they never appreciated it, and now they're lost, floating, trying to find their footing without that anchor. This is when they start to feel the full weight of their choices, when they're forced to confront the mess they created. Their world is beginning to crumble, piece by piece, and there's no distraction strong enough to keep the emptiness at bay. They start to feel as if something's missing, and that something was you. It's the quiet realization that the stability they once took for granted is gone, and they're left to face the consequences. It's easy to feel sympathy at this stage, to feel the urge to step back in and help, to be that support again. But remember, this is their journey. They need to experience this unraveling, this realization, without you swooping in to save them. This is the only way they'll understand the full weight of what they lost. So hold on to this affirmation. I am the stability they lost, but my strength is my own. Remind yourself of this whenever you feel the urge to help them, to ease their pain. They need to face this journey alone, to experience the reality of their actions without the safety net you once provided. This is your time to grow, to stand tall, to become stronger than ever. We're getting closer to the heart of this journey, and the truth is about to reveal itself even more. There's still more to come as they continue to feel the weight of your absence as their world continues to crumble. So hold on, because this isn't over yet. The real understanding, the full impact of what they lost, is still waiting for them, and soon enough they won't be able to ignore it. Stay tuned, because as they struggle in the silence, the final truths will begin to unfold, and their real feelings will come to the surface in ways they can't hide. Let's continue. Absolutely. Let's bring this journey to its final stages. This is where the silence becomes a force they can no longer ignore, a void that keeps growing, a realization that finally sinks in. They've tried to mask it, to run from it, to distract themselves, but now all those defenses are fading, and they're left in silence, a silence that feels like a void, a hollow space they can't fill. Imagine it, they're alone, with nothing but the echo of your absence, and it's starting to become deafening. The connections they tried to create, the people they used as substitutes, the shows they put on to appear fine, none of it can touch the emptiness they feel now. There's no escaping the ache, the awareness that they had something precious, something irreplaceable, and they let it slip away. This void, it's not the loud, dramatic kind of pain. It's a quiet, relentless ache that only deepens with time. It's a reminder every single day of what they lost. At first, they thought they could just push past it, that it would fade. But now, each day without you brings them closer to a truth they can't ignore. They're struggling in a space where your presence once was. No matter where they turn, they're met with a sense of emptiness, a reminder of what they threw away. Picture them lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, with no messages lighting up their phone, no comforting reminder of your care. It's in these quiet moments, these still pauses, where they feel it the most. It's when they're alone, stripped of all distractions, that the ache of your absence grows strongest. They might try to cover it up, keep busy, but this silence is everywhere, following them around, a constant reminder of what they let slip through their fingers. And here's where you might feel tempted to reach out, to ask if they're all right, to ease their pain just a bit. But remember, this silence is their journey, not yours. They need to feel this void fully to understand the weight of their choices. Stepping in, saving them from this silence, would only take away the lesson they need to learn. If they truly cared, if they truly valued you, this silence is going to resonate with them. It's going to dig deep, stirring up feelings they tried to bury, feelings they can no longer ignore. If there was love there, real love, this void will push them to face it. They'll start to realize they lost something they can't find in anyone else. But if they don't care, if they can make it through this silence unaffected, then that clarity, that understanding, is a gift to you. It shows you that they were never as invested as you were, and that freedom will allow you to move forward with full confidence. Hold on to this affirmation: my silence speaks of my strength and worth. Say it every time you feel tempted to reach out to fill that void for them. Your silence isn't a weakness, it's a powerful choice, a decision to respect yourself enough to step back and let them face the reality of what they created. Now we're approaching the end, the breaking point. After all the masks, all the distractions, all the attempts to fill the void, they've arrived at a moment where they can no longer ignore the truth. They face a choice: confront what they've lost, take responsibility and grow, or stay trapped in denial, letting regret weigh them down indefinitely. For some, this is where the pain becomes overwhelming. They spiral, weighed down by guilt, by the loss of something they now realize was irreplaceable. They start to see that the regret, the emptiness, the ache isn't going away. It's a permanent feeling, a constant reminder of what they let go. Every attempt to move past it only brings them back to the same realization. They lost something real, something they'll never find again. Others, however, may choose a different path. They might finally see your absence as a wake-up call, as a moment of clarity. They're hit with the realization that maybe, just maybe, they have a chance to confront what they lost, to understand where they went wrong, and to become a better version of themselves. It's like reaching a fork in the road. They can either let the regret consume them or use it as a moment of growth. This is where Marcus Aurelius's words ring true. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your silence was their obstacle, their wake-up call, forcing them to choose either to evolve or to remain stagnant. If they break through, it's because they've allowed themselves to learn from their mistakes. If they break down, it's because they're unwilling to face the truth of their own actions. And here's the beauty of this final stage. Whichever path they choose, you're no longer tied to it. You've done your part by stepping back, by letting them face their own reality. Their journey, their growth, or lack thereof, is no longer your responsibility. You've given them the space to confront themselves, to grow, or to stay the same. But you've grown. You've reclaimed your strength, your worth, your independence. So for this final affirmation, take a deep breath and say, I am free. Now you're stepping into a new chapter, one where your value isn't dependent on someone else's recognition, where your strength isn't defined by anyone's approval. You've come out of this journey with clarity, confidence, and a new understanding of your own worth. Whether they realize what they lost or not, you've gained something far more valuable: self-respect, strength, and independence. As you move forward, you're free to create a life that reflects the true worth you've always held. This journey wasn't easy, but look at where you are now. You're stronger, wiser, and ready for a future that honors your growth. As we wrap up, take a moment to let this sink in. Your silence, your strength, your journey has shown you what you're truly capable of. You've set boundaries that reflect your worth, and whether they wake up to what they've lost or not, you've gained something priceless. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to share it to spread the power of self-worth and resilience. And before you go, let us know in the comments, are you ready to embrace a new chapter of independence? Or are you open to new connections that truly reflect your value? Let us know. Remember, you've come so far, and this is only the beginning. The freedom, the fulfillment you deserve is right here, ready for you to claim it.